Tracking can be pretty frustrating when you're just starting out in the hunter call of the wild, but today I'm going to show you exactly how to follow tracks the right way so you can find, stalk, and drop your animals way more consistently. Whether you're chasing your first deer or grinding for a great one, this guide will break down how to read tracks, follow the blood trails, and avoid the most common mistakes and track like a pro. Let's get into it. Alright, let's break down the different types of tracks you'll find while hunting. First up are footprints. These are the most common clue. They show you what species you're tracking in which direction and when. Pay attention to the size and weight class too. It can give you a clue if it's a big animal worth chasing. Next are droppings. Yes, poop actually can matter sometimes. If you examine it and look at the freshness, it will say either just now, very fresh, or old. If it says just now or fresh, that animal is likely close. You'll also find disturbed vegetation if you have one of the perks. We'll get into that later. You'll find things like trampled grass or bent bushes. When you examine a disturbed vegetation, it will also give you an indication of what type of fur that animal has. Then you obviously have just the basic call signs, like mating or warning calls. These aren't visual on the ground like a normal track, obviously, but they're just as important. They let you know an animal is nearby and what kind of mood it's in. And finally, the blood splatter. This only shows up after you take a shot. The amount and color tell you where you hit the animal. Vital hits leave a thick, huge red blood spot, and bad hits leave a small splatter that will either indicate a very low bleed rate or a no organ hit, which is no good. All of these work together. Learn to read them and you'll never lose track of your prey again. There's a few things that can make tracking a little bit easier, and that is the skills in the stalker skill tree. Starting with the tier 0 skill, the locate tracks. If you get all of these maxed out to level 3, with level 1 the directional tracking cone becomes more accurate and narrower, so that way it's going to point you in the right direction a little more accurately. Level 2 increases the distance at which tracks are visible and highlighted. That's very important to have, honestly. And level 3, the directional tracking cone is even narrower and tracks can be detected even further away. So you definitely want to have your locate track skill in the stalker selection completely maxed out. Next up in the tier 2 selection, you want connect the dots. It's not as important, but if you're brand new to tracking and you're having a really hard time, this can really help you out. Each time a track is investigated, a trail line is automatically drawn on your hunter mate between tracks of the active trail. Investigated tracks that were not dropped in consecutive order have a dotted line drawn between them to indicate that there are more tracks to be found to complete the trail. The dotted line will not occur if 3 tracks in order are skipped. So like I said, if you're brand new to tracking and you're having a really hard time and you're not making great shots all the time, then this perk right here is definitely a little handy because it's going to keep you from veering off of your trail. And as I talked about disturbed vegetation earlier, you're going to need the stalker tier 4 disturbed vegetation skill to actually be able to see those track types. As you see, it reveals a new track type, disturbed vegetation. Animals sometimes produce these in between other tracks. This makes it easier to follow the trails of difficult animals and reveals the animal's fur type. You never know if you might pick up on like a piebald or something. If you pick one of these tracks up and then boom, you're going to know that there's a piebald in that herd and then you can hunt it down. A really good way to find some trophies. Now you know the basics and you got your skills and perks set up. Now I'm going to go out there in the wild myself and I'm going to give you an actual visual example of hunting and tracking an animal. All right, so we got some mule deer out here. Let's go ahead and try and get a little... Oh, well, that's not a ideal shot. Maybe that one will be a little better for an example. Yeah, that'll be a little more... That was a great shot, but we kind of want to get some blood flowing out of him here. And you see he's dead, so we hit some kind of vital there. You can see here where we took the shot, we got a vital organ hit, an absolutely massive blood splatter, and then not too far down we got a dropping and we have a medium bleed rate, 50 to 75%, and you can see the cone is pointing that way, and you can tell when you have a medium, it's actually like a medium sized blood splatter. If this was a low bleed rate, it would be a little bit smaller than that, but pretty much the same shape there. And boom, pick up on these next tracks. We can even open our hunter mate and you can see how they are kind of connecting as I pick up the tracks. Boom, it'll give you that line, and we can obviously see him here dead. We made a pretty good shot. Just to show you guys an example, a quick example of what the connect the dots feature does, the arrow cone, and then the different types of blood. Now there is actually one more thing you can do to make tracking a little bit easier. A while back they added the bloodhound tracker dog, and obviously this is a DLC. You got to pay a few bucks for it. You have the bloodhound, you have the retriever, Labrador retriever, and then you have the German short-haired pointer. They're all pretty good. They definitely do a great job for what they're made for. You can buy a dog for $45,000, name them whatever you want. See, I got my bloodhound stupid shit here. He's level 13, and you can tell him to track, heal, you can even praise him. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, found it useful. If so, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.